What is up, collectors? I'd like to welcome everybody back to my recurring series called Cardboard Masterpieces. Today, we're sliding into the polyester-clad, mustache-powered magic of the 1970s, a decade where baseball cards were bold, the players had sideburns wider than first base, and Topps was cranking out cardboard hotter than a disco inferno. Now, I'm not taking this funky trip alone. I've got two absolute legends with me in the YouTube space, riding shotgun in this station wagon of nostalgia. First up is Steve from Vintage on Vintage. If you're into deep dives on classic sets, thoughtful hobby talk, and genuine appreciation for the history behind the cards, Steve's channel is definitely a must watch. He's got a serious eye for vintage, especially the 70s. And I know a lot of you guys have seen his grading reveals that are absolutely epic. He really has an eye for cards. And his insights on vintage and collecting are certainly second to none. So Steve brings wisdom and a love for vintage and cultivated from his love of the game, which he has had since his childhood. The second person in line here, we've got Dylan from Double D Vintage Baseball Cards. Dylan's channel is like the baseball card version of a lava lamp. Okay, it's mesmerizing, colorful, completely addictive. You just can't look away. He's the proud curator of one of the greatest card rooms around. And as all of you guys know, he's a Robin Yount super fan, which makes him basically royalty in my world and in the world of 70s collectors. Dylan's enthusiasm is infectious, and he showcases an incredible vintage collection, gives thoughtful commentary on the hobby, and shares collecting philosophies that definitely make the viewers out there think. So I'm excited to get started with these wonderful YouTubers today. Welcome, Steve and Dylan.
Hey, Josh.
Dude, I mean, that was like the greatest intro of all time. You made me laugh, made me cry.
You know,
thank you.
I wanted to capture the range of emotions. And so I'm excited to have you guys on. Thanks for coming on. I know that, for people who've seen Cardboard Masterpieces before, kind of my goal has been to kind of find the experts within those particular decades. So I'm excited to have both you guys on because I think you'll bring a lot of great perspectives to the table. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the 70s. Polyester, pop culture, and perfect cardboard. Okay. So in case, this is your first time tuning in, the goal of this series is to just showcase beautiful cardboard. So one of the goals behind making this series is to introduce viewers to the classic, beautiful cards from these mainstream and more niche sets. And beauty obviously is in the eye of the beholder. So I've personally always been interested to see what draws people to certain cards from certain years and see why it's meaningful and beautiful to them. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, we all know about these nationally recognized card experts from around the United States. And so these are some of the people that I look to in my collecting, particularly Borat and Jeff Wilson are probably the two people that I model my hobby collecting after the most. But seeing a couple of people on, we had Aaron, we had Joe, we had Jason, we had some wonderful people on here in the past. And we got Mr. President in there. We got to pay tribute to El Presidente, of course. So we got a great panel for today, as you guys know. We got Dylan from
Yes
Cards. And so we're excited to have him on, and him and Robin were surfing earlier today, and he sent me this picture. So thought I would include it.
Oh, that's good.
So Dylan from Double D Vintage Baseball Cards, welcome. And then, of course, we have Steve from Vintage on Vintage with his showcased in his Big Ten sweatshirt, which he loves so dearly. And of course, we have myself, who enjoys a nice cheeseburger.
So good.
That is classic. Classic.
So you guys know the rules by this point. Pick two of your favorite cards from top sets from the 70s. And the cards have been chosen based upon their aesthetics, not their market value. And I kind of call of fame players and their cards are fair game, but don't forget about the little guys. Okay. So the way we're going to start is we're going to kind of do a blind reveal. Dylan, we'll start year by year, and we'll start with Dylan's 2 cards. He can talk about why he liked them, and then go to Steve, and then myself at the end, and then we'll kind of talk through it. So let's start with 1970 Topps. Okay. So Dylan, here's your 2 choices. Tell us a little bit about kind of what your thoughts were behind picking these cards.
Okay, well, first off, I'm no expert. Second off, me and Steve are like the ultimate choices for this, in my opinion, as well, because Steve's going to bring the knowledge of living the 70s and knowing so much of the history of the 70s. And I'm just going to bring the love of the 70s cards that I remember seeing as a kid. On my coach had a bunch of 70s cards when I was a kid. And when I would run through his cards, he'd let me look at his cards. They just stuck out. They just stuck out to me, and I loved them. And then my story with the Robin Yount card as a kid. So it's a perfect panel. Dare I say, Josh, you did a great job. So yes, these 2 cards, Johnny Bench. It's probably, I have it right here. So I will look at this card, and why I chose it is, to me, it's, if it wasn't for his rookie, this is my favorite Johnny Bench card. The aesthetics of it, like these borders, these gray borders, to me, they just scream vintage, like really old. And when I was a kid, they're like, that's the oldest card in the world. So I just thought it was the most sickest card ever. The next one, Nolan Ryan. I mean, you could put this as you could say on any given day, this is Nolan Ryan's greatest card. And for whatever reason, it's black and white. And I still, every time I look through my 70s cards that I have, it jumps out at me. And both of these cards always are the number 1 and number 2. Some that you'll see in my choices aren't always there. I pick them in the moment, but these ones always, I love them. That image of Nolan Ryan is spectacular. And also, since this is 1969, the Mets won the World Series. So this is like in that moment of time where they're charging. And Ryan wasn't the greatest pitcher of all time in that. It was Kuzmin was like the guy. But yeah, so that's why I chose it. Yeah, I'm excited to see what Steve has for this too. Like,
awesome pick, Dylan. I love it. Okay, Steve, let's go on to your picks. What do we got here? So tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so before I start, Dylan, that Johnny Bench came in at number 3 for me. And I just picked up that Ryan Saves the Day this last weekend when we talked about. Yeah. There's another card. It's Seaver wins the playoff game. That is the same kind of inaction. It's sweet card.
I almost think the Seaver's almost even better looking.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah.
So Josh, anybody that's ever watched my channel knows I absolutely love that Tony Perez card. I think it's one of the best cards in the entire decade. It's just, there's a lot of people, and I'm one of them. You get a guy and they put those warm-up jackets under their uniform, because when I was playing ball, that's how we would wear our warm-up jackets under our uniforms when it was cold out, because we wanted to look like these guys. And it's just a beautiful card with that Reds uniform and his swing. I love that. That's my favorite card, hands down, of the 1970 set. The other one I picked, this is the cool thing about the 1970 set, is you have a couple of teams like the Seattle Pilots and the Montreal Expos that aren't around anymore. And I think the Montreal Expos had one of the coolest uniforms ever. I love their hat. I love the uniform. As a kid, we would go to Dodger games, and we went to a lot of Expo games because you could go at the last minute because it wasn't always a sellout. And this Jose LeBoy, to me, it's the perfect way to see that Expo uniform. You've got the rookie cup. You've got that beautiful Expo uniform. You've got the batting cage and the fence. And I just think aesthetically, it's a gorgeous card.
I agree. And the colors, I'm always someone who's attracted to color. And the logo and the colors of that logo just really pop, and it's got everything you would want. So that's fantastic. That's great. And I love hearing the connection that you have and how you kind of emulated it as a kid, what you were seeing in the card and the player. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, we have a little bit of overlap. I like the John.
Yeah.
I love the, anytime you have a catcher like crouch down in that catcher pose, I just love that. Whether it be like an early Bowman, Berra, or even, Bench, I believe, in 69 has a really cool card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Year card. And so I love that just kind of pose. And so I just, that card definitely spoke to me in the big catcher's mitt. Nolan Ryan, for me, was just such an influential player in my young life and growing up. And I still feel that his 69 is my favorite, but his 70 is a close second, I would say, even above his 68, just because, I don't know. I like the solo cards. I like the young Nolan Ryan. Just overall, like the whole look of his early youthful cards that he has in the Mets uniform. So yeah, that was kind of what appealed to me. So fantastic.
Can we talk about this really fast?
Yeah.
Next one. Okay. So first off, Steve, like, I love it because what's the guy's name in the bottom? And I want to know the number of that card. I was getting a pencil.
It's Jose LeBoy, and it's card number 238. I don't own it, Dylan. I don't own
wow.
it. I used to own it. I have it in a beat up version. It's one of my childhood cards.
Okay.
But now I've decided, after doing this, there's a couple cards I've decided I need to go buy. And this is one of them.
Well, the Expos, dude, I talked about little mini collections I had when I was a kid, and I didn't know there was other people like me. Literally, the Expos uniform was sick. I had an Expos collection. I had like a Marlins collection. I had a Rockies collection. The logos were so big when I was a kid. So I wrote that one down because I want to pick it up too. And then that Nolan Ryan, Josh, like that card, I've never owned that card in my entire life. And it's not because I don't love it. I think it's spectacular, but I didn't know about this high number. I knew high numbers existed because of the Beckett has another column for the expensive common, high number. But I've never paid the price tag for that card.
Yeah.
Every time I look at it, I've never been able to get over the hump. And I still think I could probably get one for $200. I spend $200 on other cards all the time, but I haven't got over it. But now you motivated me, and I wrote it down on my list.
That's awesome.
It's mandatory.
But you're right, though. I mean, it's pretty pricey for a third-year card, right? Yeah. I mean, it's tough to sometimes take the plunge when you got a hobby budget to deal with. So I
just picked it up this year, about 6 months ago. I walked into a card shop for supplies, and they had a 5 in an SGC, and it would look really well centered, and he wanted like $225 for it. And I didn't haggle or anything. I just said, I'm taking that card right there. And I took it home. It's a sick card.
Nothing wrong with paying up for eye appeal. That's for sure.
I don't mind it.
No. So, all right. Well, fantastic. Starting with the bang here. Well, let's go to 71. Okay. So Dylan, your 71s. Tell us a little bit about.
Oh man, these are just the glorious baseball cards right here. Like these are incredible cards. First, the Clemente. The Clemente is like a shout out to my Clemente collecting friends out there. What I've learned on YouTube is like we fall in love with each other's collections and the cards that are within them, and we learn each other's collections. Like I know what cards are in a lot of your guys' collections. I know what cards Josh has in his collections and Steve has, and it's so fun. So this card, it was never like my all-time favorite card from that set until I started seeing my friends. And then Theo's like, this is his number one favorite Clemente card. And I have 100% fallen in love with it. And I've fallen in love with it so much that, it's going to come up later. But it's it's just glorious. It's a magical card. I love it. Josh, one more thing I didn't comment on in the beginning is I don't think people watch me for looking at any of my cards. They're watching, they're trying to watch a train wreck and what's going to come out of my mouth next. So you can listen to me, and that's, I think, I say some stupid stuff sometimes. So
no, but you're excited, you got enthusiasm, like you can, people see that when they watch you doing. So that's what they love about it.
He loves the hobby. It's apparent. He loves the hobby.
You're not, it's just you in the moment enjoying your cards and your collection. So that's
your cards are sick, Dylan.
Thanks. I wasn't asking for compliments.
I know.
I think about that stuff because I said some dumb stuff last night in a live with Caesar, and I was just like, I think I said some stupid stuff. I'm not gonna re-listen to the episode because I lost like 10 minutes of sleep. Not bad, but like I probably should just keep my mouth closed sometimes. Okay, so the next card. Move on. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. The Bob Gibson. God, that card. I've had that card forever, and gosh dang, it's so funny because on my list, I have it written down, but really fast, I was trying to grab all the cards, and I grabbed a Hank Aaron because I thought that was the guy on my list too. So, but now that I see that I did choose the Bob Gibson, man, I have a copy of that I've had in my collection for like 25 years plus, a PSA 7, and it's got a little tilt to it. And every time I look at it, I just can't get rid of it because it's just glorious. Because the image, I don't want to ever be without that card. And that, I think, is probably Bob Gibson's greatest in-action image, even though he's not throwing a ball. I just think it's spectacular. I love it. So, yeah, it's one of my favorite Bob Gibson cards of all time.
That's great.
Great card.
That's awesome. What do you think, Dylan? Why don't you try to guess at least one of Steve's cards?
Oh man, I'm hoping that he picks the Rod Crew out of the fact that he'd never gotten like a 7.5. I think it was like his highest or something. I think it was Rod Crew, right? Steve Garvey's a guaranteed pick.
Okay, Rod Carew or Steve Garvey. Let's see what we got.
Oh,
curveballs.
So if you'd have come to me, the three cards I would have probably thrown out right off the top of my head are Clemente, Reggie Jackson, and Garvey, because I think 71 is made for the A's and the Pirates uniforms. They're just so cool. But then the great thing about 71, it was really the first action photos, right? So that Cookie Rojas, I just love that shot, and I don't own that one yet either. But I want to get it. There's Ryan Sandberg has a 1990 Upper Deck card where he's doing the same throw, and it's one of my favorite photographs of all time. And this Cookie Rojas is the same. It's a classic card. And then the same to be said with the Thurman Munson, right? I love rookie cups, by the way.
Me too.
And catchers have some of the best in action. You're going to see a theme of some catchers eventually. This is like the dust is flying. Thurman Munson's there. It's just a classic card.
It is, and most collectors would say they like that better than his rookie card.
I do,
and it's universally, desired just because of the. It's a classic card with that, the dirt coming up, the in action photo. The Cookie Rojas kind of reminds me of the Pee Wee Reese, the 50 Bowman color Reese, a little bit in homage to that. But I feel like the 70s action and the 70s cards are like grittier. They're like dust up in your face. It's like a kind of grittier, kind of dirty, kind of like sweaty feel versus the more vintage stuff is a little more clean, a little more polished, a little more proper. The 70s is a little more gritty when it comes to some of these images.
Yeah, another one that I almost picked was Veda Pinson because he's got a great one.
Dude, I almost did too. Also. He's got a great one, and his MVP season, the works. Hey, Steve. So funny story about that Cookie Rojas. So I had this it's on my display right here next to me. I have the glass off because I pulled some cards down, and I have that card up. It represents the 1971 set in my display. And I pulled this on YouTube. I bought a pack on PWCC. It was a GAI pack, and I didn't know if it was real. It was $180 or something. And I was just started YouTube, and I asked YouTube, "Hey, is this real or not?" I bought it, and it wasn't. It was a GIA graded, but it was one of those cello packs, and it wasn't. Brandon told me it wasn't. So I opened the pack on YouTube, and I pulled this Cookie Rojas, and I put on the label. I made my own label for it, and it said, "Pulled this on my channel on my 7th video." So really cool. You chose that card.
That's
700,
awesome.
700 cards in the set probably. And you chose the card right next to my eyeball right here. And I would
That's
never.
awesome.
So yeah, thanks, dude. That's it.
What did Double D grading grade it?
A 7.
You got a
7 with
seven?
80.
That's pretty good.
7 with 85 center. And yeah, it's a pretty dang sharp
Did you
card.
did you upcharge yourself for that grade? Send yourself an email, said you've been upcharged. Oh, that's good. That is
I
awesome.
watched your PSA video.
Yeah. Well, I love to see that you guys are grading your own, because that's a perfect solution to it, and I love it. I love the personalized slabs. Very cool. All right, so now my two. Similar to kind of what Steve was getting at, I love the old school athletic, like the jersey, the colors, a young Reggie Jackson. That card, holding the multiple bats on the shoulder. That's just, I love all
Classic.
that stuff. Like, it's a classic pose. Reminds me a little bit homage of like Stan the Man or something like that, where you got the bats on the shoulders. And I just love any picture, any image that has an all-time great in their kind of very youthful, age, where you see all that kind of potential ahead of them. I love that. And so that was why I picked the Reggie. And then the Munson kind of speaks for itself. That's just a classic card. I've always loved that card. I used to have one actually up until about 6 months ago, but I'm looking for another lower grade one to kind of replace it. But yeah, I love that kind of grittiness of that in action kind of pose. 71 is like a tough year, because it's so condition prone that when you find a nice 71, it just really pops. But to find a centered, unchipped 71 is always the challenge. So these are rarely, as you guys probably know, hard to find a sharp, high grade 71s. So
it's my favorite set of the decade. And
yeah,
Dylan mentioned it earlier. I've turned them in. I've only gotten 1 7. It was an Ernie Banks is what it was that I got a 7. I keep getting 6.5, 6.
So it wasn't, I don't know why I thought it was a particular card that you never got over, but it was just the 71s in general. Yeah.
It was 71s that I never got over a 6.5. And the Carew I've turned in might have got a 7. It's either a 6.5 or a 7, but I love this set. And nowadays, if you turn in one of these and you get a 6, it's a nice card.
Mm-hmm,
it's a sharp card.
For sure. Yeah.
So before we move on to this one, Josh, you made a mistake inviting me on. Dude, you picked the Reggie. I'm so freaking glad you did, because I wanted to pick the Reggie so bad. Reggie could have made it across my entire board. That's the problem. Yeah. And I'm like, you'll see a theme with my picks, and I also won't tell you what I didn't choose till the end, like specifically. So so that's what I have to say. I think you guys did good choices.
I kind of like that we're getting some more atypical picks, especially from you guys. I feel like mine are pretty boring and mainstream, but you guys are really taking it to the next level.
Yeah, nobody knows who Clemente or Bob Gibson is.
Right. Well, you got some good ones. Let's see what comes along. All right. Well, let's get
this is really fun, by the way.
This is a blast. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. So now we're getting to 72. Okay, that's a great year. Dylan, you picked some Blazers. Nice.
Oh, I'm up. It's my turn.
You're up.
So first off,
wow.
I'll start with the Hank Aaron. Okay, this Hank Aaron, this exact copy that I'm holding is one that I had in my collection ungraded for a lifetime. Literally one of the first vintage cards I've had. And it was one that I purchased ungraded, and it was before grading. And so I eventually decided to send it in to get graded, and I did it on video. I think I never sent cards in except for PSA in like 96, but since then, I never sent anything else until YouTube. And this one I sent in, it came back as 7, but it's not the fact that it came back as 7. I thought it was like a 9 when I got it, right? I was like, this is a 10. Yeah. But this card, the Hank Aaron, I had an addiction to it for quite some time, and I had like 7 copies of it. It's every day I could look at this card and think it's the best Hank Aaron card in my collection. I love it. I'm attached to the cardboard itself. This exact example, I'm attached to the look of the card. It's a really special card to me. So, and I probably never even talked about this on my channel because it's one that it's always on my wall. So I never take it down. So it was fun for me to take it down, and that's my #1 favorite card from 1972. So, and I've probably said this was my #1 as well, Clemente. So I kicked the addiction on the Hank Aaron, and because that's my perfect copy. I'll never need another one. I sold all the other ones, but Clemente, anytime I see a dead center one in a low grade, I have to buy it. And this image from 72 is, I think I fell in love with it because the 1987 tops had the turn back the clock. And so I have an addiction to this card, and it's never going to go away. And now that I go for centered ones, it makes it even more fun because I had it in a high grade, and I sold my copy. It was totally off-centered and skewed. And I picked these up, and I love them. I like having a stack in my hand. I'm like, I could have 100 of them. So yeah, I love those 2 cards from 72.
Great picks. Those are fantastic picks.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Steve agreed, at least with the Clemente.
Oh, and you picked Billy Cole. Yes, dude. Yes.
So that Clemente card, it's funny because I know Theo, as much as he loves 71, he hates 72. And I don't know why. No. I love that card. Yes. The color scheme, the tossing of the ball. So I have a graded copy that I picked up, but I also have it's a beautiful copy that I had when I was a kid that I left out in my room, and I think my mom she put a pin and put it on a cork board, right? And I still have that card, and I'll never get rid of it now. You know, I was pretty not happy at the time, but now it reminds me of my mom, so it's a great thing. But I love that card. That's my favorite card in the set, hands down. But that Billy Cowan is just like, the photographer couldn't have done that any better, right? He's the Angels. He's got the halo over his head. It's just a classic card that I think, visually is just really appealing.
Yeah, for sure. That's a fantastic card as well. I'm pretty naive. Like, what is the story behind that card?
I don't think there's a huge story behind it. I think that I don't think Billy Cowan was aware that the photographer was doing that. I think the photographer just lined it up and did it, because it's not like every Angel, you could have done that to any or every Angel in that set, right? But this is the only guy he did it to.
So but what is behind him?
It's a halo.
What's behind him, Josh, is like my childhood all rolled up in a nutshell. I've been under that A's 20 times. At least I've stood under that A 20 times when I was a kid. And I also had Boy Scout events, Cub Scouts. I went all the way through to Boy Scouts, and I did lots of events in the Anaheim parking lot, and went under there every time. And so I didn't know about that card. So I have the book, the Topps book, that has every card of every ever made, but I never noticed that card. Shane Shoebox Legends sent me that card when I got on YouTube, and I have it. It's a buyback version, and it's slabbed up right behind me. That's what I was looking for. And for you to share that card and not me is like ridiculous. Like I had that card in my hand to share, but I just had to stick to this theme. And for you to share it, you just nailed it. Grand slam.
That's
Well done.
fantastic.
Great card.
Is that one of Mike Payne's 300 greatest? Did that make the list or didn't make the list?
I don't think
No.
so.
Okay.
No.
It should. That's an awesome card.
Yeah, it should.
Well, we had some consensus.
Woo!
For our
Yeah.
first one all the way across the board. I really love 1972 tops. Just for, I mean, I think the logos are just awesome. Like that kind of future, like how the color kind of bleeds, the three-dimensional effect, just the overall like layout scheme of the cards, I just think are awesome. And for the same reasons that you guys love the Clemente is also the similar reasons why I love it as well. The Nolan Ryan, I love that Angels logo. I love the color scheme that they used. I love his overall, his hat, his kind of coloration on the card. It's just a classic 70s card. And I love that. That's one of my favorite Nolan Ryan cards that he has. So yeah, this is a great year for me.
That's a sneaky expensive card, that 72 Ryan. It's sneaky expensive.
It's really sneaky expensive. I used to have one. I had one in an 8 that I got at the show a long time ago.
That's is that an $800 card? $800 card, right?
Not when I sold it, but it wasn't at the peak of the market. But I didn't need an 8, so I was happy with the lower grade, similarly to you selling off your high grade stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you find one centered like that, that's crisp. I mean, those are definitely an in-demand card. You're right, for sure, sneaky expensive. So, but
that one is really insanely hard to find centered. I had an 8OC and I sold that.
Yep.
But you can find them. They're just, oh, dude, you guys both picked Angels cards. What am I doing over here? What's going on with that? I just knew you guys would do it. Thank you, Josh, for picking that card.
Sure.
Look at that across the board, all Clemente right there.
That's sweet.
We'll see what if there's additional consensus going on, but that's the first time we all agreed.
That's pretty sick.
So, well, let's go on to 73. Dylan, tell us about your 73s.
Okay, so the Pete Rose. So this is his MVP year. So this is on his 75 Tops MVP card. But more importantly, this was in my coach's box of cards when I was a kid. He had this card in his box, and I wanted it my entire life. And this is one that I had a semi addiction to. Like, I've had probably 6 of these in my day. And I finally sold the one that I had for like 30 years, and I'm fine with it. I kept a lot of cards that I had for 30 years, but I had to let things go. I still have the memory of it, like my main one. But Petty, I think Mike Petty bought one from me, a raw version of this, and the Reggie as well. But this card, to me, the image of it is spectacular too. But it all comes back to that stems from that memory of me having that card, and then adding to that story with the MVP and all that. So it's a special card.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Hank Aaron. It's always been just an, I love Hank Aaron cards. And this card, I thought it went well with this card. So when I picked it out, Pete Rose was going to be my number one no matter what. Instantly, I wrote that down. And then when I went and looked in my binder, I saw the Hank Aaron, and I go, that thing goes really well with it, because it's Pete Rose looking up for the ball, like he hit a foul ball or a fair ball, I'm not sure. And Hank Aaron setting up to catch a ball. And it just was like, I don't know, they just look really good together. So I chose it. I think it's sick. That's it.
That's right. That's a good pairing.
Yeah, it does look like he's catching Rose's pop-up.
Right.
Yeah, it's like they're playing together, right? Oh, yeah.
That's sweet. And those uniforms, those Brave uniforms back then were sick too. I loved them.
Yep.
And
I used to have the batting helmet when I was a kid, and we'd play wiffle ball, and I'd pretend I was, because Aaron was my favorite player, and I would pretend I'm Aaron when I was playing wiffle ball.
That's epic. Awesome. That's epic.
All right. Well, Steve, you got a couple of good ones as well. One another in action kind of shot. Tell us a little bit about the ones you picked.
Well, the Clemente is a classic card, right? What I like about the Clemente card is really it's a great picture of Clemente, right? But you've got who I think that's Jerry Grody behind the plate. And then you've got the umpire just coming in on the left-hand side. I just think it's a classic picture. It's one of my favorite cards of the set. And then the one below that, Johnny Bench in action card where he's catching that pop-up, is that one. That I don't have that in a graded version yet, but it's on my, as a matter of fact, that's one of the cards I told my daughters I wanted for Father's Day if they want to pick up a card for me, because I absolutely love that card. I love that card.
That's
Josh,
a great card.
you got comments on it?
So 73 was Clemente's final card, correct?
This is last card,
But
yeah.
also it carries some added weight to it in kind of a bittersweet kind of fashion. I was just going to comment, like, I think the photography of the 70s is interesting. Like, you have kind of like the quality and a blurriness to it, right? Like it's almost like the like perfect poses and aesthetic beauty that you have in the like 50s and 60s. Again, this is much more kind of gritty and kind of, I don't know, a little bit more kind of in action, a little bit more kind of informal in how things are kind of displayed and photographed. So that was just my thoughts. But
well said. So Steve, before you show yours, Josh, I love catcher, batter, umpire photos. I love them. The Johnny Bench was in my hand. Like, I was just like, oh.
I know it's tough.
It's tough. So yeah, right on. Okay, Josh, I'm dying to see what you got.
Okay. So we agreed on the bench, and I picked the Goose Gossage just because it stands out to me. Like, if most of the images you have of him with this big handlebar kind of muscle. He's so clean cut. He's so youthful. His arm looks like it goes on for a mile. And then you have it kind of matched with the logo on the lower right of the card, which is also kind of classic 70s. He actually looks somewhat friendly, less intimidating than he probably was in his later years. So I just think that was just a really kind of cool card in showing his youth and his endless potential that he would go on to achieve. So, and then the bench, again, similarly, I liked the inaction pose. I like him running for the fly ball, not knowing if he's going to injure himself in the next 2 to 3 seconds as he's going for this thing, willing to risk his body to make this, probably inconsequential out. I thought that was just a kind of a cool pose.
Yeah, the Chicago White Sox, those red uniforms they had in the early 70s, they jump out to me too. I love, like, in 73, 74, 75, there's a lot of cards that I like because of those uniforms. They were really cool.
For sure. All right. Well, let's move on. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Did you have something to do?
No, I love it. I just love that. I'm having a good time watching.
Awesome.
Goose Gossage. I never would have picked that card, and I was like, "Whoa, that's sick."
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah.
Well, now we're moving on to 74. Tell us, so Hank Aaron themed.
Okay, 74. So first, for you, anyone watching or not, I have the card on the top with the 4 cards. I also have the 4 actual cards on the cards in my hand right now.
Very cool.
So to me, as a kid, I didn't know about this card until I knew about the 86 Pete Rose card before I knew about the 74 Hank Aaron version of this card. And this is the card on card. And this, to me, I had to pick one of those because they're just super meaningful to me. The card on cards, like, that could be a reason. I don't know. I can't narrow all the reasons why I love vintage and I love these. But I saw this card as a kid. After I saw the Pete Rose, I saw this one in like a dollar bin, and I just scooped it. There's Hank Aaron's rookie card on it. And then the 55, 56, 57, and now I collect all the cards on there. it's a special card for me. It's really a beautiful baseball card, and there's baseball cards on it that you could buy this card for $1, and those other cards cost thousands sometimes. Yeah, it had to be on there. And then the other one, Hank Aaron, the home run all-time hit king. This is, it's just sick. And now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that he hit his home run record in 1974, and Topps printed this thinking, because he had one home run left when the 74 season started. And Steve, you can correct me anytime I'm wrong on this. But he hit the home run during the season, so Topps took a chance, and they put this at card number 1. It's one of the rarest times in Topps history that they put the history of the card. They printed it before the history actually happened. So it's a super freaking special card. And it's card number 1, and this is card number 2. So it's just really cool. So Steve, was I wrong with the history in that?
No, you're absolutely right. He was not the all-time home run king when they printed that card. He was still behind Babe Ruth. That card is one of the most iconic cards of the entire 70s. It's like, if you collected in the 70s, you need to have that card in your collection. It's just an awesome card. Yeah. Both of them are awesome cards. And I finally realized, Dylan, I picked up the rookie in Strongsville, and I just picked up the 57. So now I need to go get that card so I can do a Dylan and say I have all 4 of them.
Yeah, you do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like these are important cards if you're a collector as a kid, because most kids aren't going to be able to afford any one of those Hank Aaron cards, right? So if you're going to get exposed to it or own a version of that or get to appreciate the beauty of that, it's going to be with a card like that. And then ultimately, when you get older, then maybe that's something that sticks with you as a collector. And then you can go back and get that that card that was kind of the dream card that you held as a kid. So I think that's a really important to have cards like that in the hobby, even when they're doing with modern, where they're having, okay, yeah, you have a Kaboom Stan Musial. Like, I don't like Kabooms, but I'm like, that's great. That's so important for the hobby that you're keeping these all-time greats. You're extending their life to the new generational collectors, because that's really what's going to keep the hobby alive and healthy and going. So
100%.
It sounds like in 74, they were pretty heavy, all in on Hank Aaron, certainly for the first cards, because of, what was happening with the home run, with the home run race at the time. So it makes sense. And it was kind of a leap of faith that I'm glad paid off.
I actually saw him hit that home run on TV.
Yeah, I remember you.
Wow,
fantastic!
Yeah, that was cool.
Was it on TV, Steve? That you were?
It was on TV. Yep, it was on TV. Al Downing was pitching. He was at the plate. He drove it into left field. Buckner climbed the wall to try to catch it. It wasn't close. I think Tom House, who was the pitching coach, actually was the guy that caught it in the bullpen. And then he's running the bases, and the fans are mobbing him. And then afterwards, his mom came on. I want to say 13, but I vividly remember that like it was yesterday. It was so cool.
That's insane.
That's
that
awesome.
Is incredible. So obviously you picked it. Let's see.
Let's see. No
way, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Wow.
So I'm going to start with the bottom card, because that Reggie Jackson card, once again, the A's uniforms rock. And that is the first of many Reggie Jackson cards you'll see in his career where he's just taken the cut. I just call it the Reggie cut because, and I love that card. It's classic. And then the Morgan card, I struggled with the Morgan and the Nolan Ryan card because I love the Nolan Ryan card too. It looks like he's coming right at you. But ultimately, the color scheme of that Morgan card and, him getting out of the box, he looks like he just put one in the gap and he's about to get a double or a triple. It's just a sweet card. I love these cards, both of them.
Great choices. Great picks.
Insane.
I mean, even Reggie's swing, you just so much power. Like, you can feel the power in that swing and that follow through. It's just, he's got so many fantastic cards.
Well, another you know, like I told you, and I'm old, as you guys know. So I got to see Aaron's home run. I also was watching live when Reggie Jackson in 71, I think it is, hit that ball in the All-Star game off the light post in Detroit. And that, if you've never seen it, Google it. The sound of the ball coming off the bat when it was like thunder. He just crushes the ball and he hit it off the top of the light tower. Was it probably the most amazing home run I've seen?
That's fantastic.
Wow. God, that's sick.
Great choices. Do you guys want to try to guess mine? They're none of these. They're different.
Wow.
I'm guessing Nolan Ryan.
Okay.
Dave Parker.
Okay. Nolan Ryan, Dave Parker. Good.
Dave Winfield. Going double combo. Two rookies that I would have almost picked.
Oh, the two Hall of Fame rookies.
All good guesses. Dylan nailed it.
Those are sick.
Yeah.
They are.
I mean, I could not pick. For me, these are two cards that just, as a kid, I always thought were just fantastic cards. You know, I was always been a Dave Winfield fan. I mean, the old school San Diego colors and uniform.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dave Parker, man, that's an intimidating card right there. I mean, he's just ferocious. And I just thought, in the old school Pirates, both of those together, just 1970s at its finest, and both two fantastic players. So
I love the 74 set. You know, Winfield was drafted by all three major leagues.
Yeah,
insane.
He was an
insane athlete. He was such a stud. In his early years, I mean, their teams they were terrible. The Padres were terrible, but he was hands down the best player in the league. He was just a beast.
That's awesome.
Okay, you can't get past this yet. Hold on. Okay, so Dave Parker rookie card. That rookie card, I'm looking at it right now. It's on my wall. I would have chose that. 100%. If one of us wouldn't have chose that, the whole show should be canceled. That is the greatest Pittsburgh Pirates card of all time, in my opinion. I have, maybe it's because I had that card when I was a kid, and I still have the exact example, and I just think it's just the sickest card. I love it. And Dave Winfield,
a great card.
It's right there. So thank you, Josh, for making the show legitimized. We can now.
We covered our bases all for different reasons.
And freaking Steve didn't pick Hank Aaron. He was at the game.
Like throwing the curveball. He's like, I was there.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my gosh.
But he was.
Joe Morgan's great too, and
they were all close. They were all close. But it's funny because I'm a huge Aaron fan, and I haven't picked him at all.
Yeah, but it'd be if we all picked the same cards, it'd be boring, right?
Exactly.
100%. So this is great.
It's fun to pick different cards too.
That's right. All right. Well, keeping on with the theme, we're getting to 75. Yeah. All right. Great year for cards. What do you think, Dylan?
Bob Gibson, dude. This I could say this is the greatest Cardinals card of all time. To me, that Dave Parker is the greatest Pittsburgh Pirates card of all time. To me, this is the greatest Cardinals card of all time. I don't know. I fall in love with this deeply, but a lot of it could be because I ride a surfboard that has these exact colors on it. I literally designed the sprays on my surfboards to match 1975 Topps certain cards. And the Bob Gibson model, I call it the Gibby model, is the best one out of the whole batch of 4 boards. And I broke 2 of the boards already, and I broke this board and I fixed it. I put it back together. I wrote it today. It still works incredible. And that never happens. Once a board breaks, it's normally dusted. So this Bob Gibson is, this to me is, you guys know my favorite card of all time is the Robin Yount. So obviously I would have chose this card of his greatest baseball card of all time in this set. But to me, this is Bob Gibson's greatest card, and this is my favorite 1975 Topps card minus the Yount and the Brett. So had to choose it. Next one, Steve Carlton, is more simplistic, more. I've had this card for a very long time, and it is also, every time I look at it, it just speaks to me, and that's the Steve Carlton. The colors on it, I just love it. It is just simplistic, reason I love this card. I love the image. I love the colors.
Great picks. Great picks. I was surprised. I thought Yount would have made the list, but
I mean, I wore the shirt,
you're
so
not-
I gave it enough credit. Yeah, you know, we wore our shirts. Yes.
one of us. I hope one of us picked them, or else we should be canceled.
That Gibson card is such a tough card to find in really good condition because there's a lot of centering flaws. There's a print line that runs down it a lot. If you can find a good one, it's a gorgeous card.
Hold on, before you move on from that, Steve. So this card's pretty cool too. The cardboard itself, the one I have, passed all my inspections. I bought this sight unseen on the pit probably for $12. I kid you not. I bought like 6 of these when I bought this card, and I kept one, and it is spectacularly glorious. And it just, I didn't look for it. I bought it sight unseen on the pit with a whole bunch of others. And so yeah, I love it. I love it.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Okay, well, Steve, you got some. You picked some classics.
Yes.
What's your picks?
So I'm going to start with the Nolan Ryan. I love the Angels uniform. I love the color scheme of this card. You know, Josh, earlier you said you liked his 70 better than his rookie. I like his 69, 70, 71, or 69, 70, 72, and 75 better than his rookie.
Yeah.
I just do. This card, the color scheme, if you get a good one of these, it's an amazing looking card. And the one above is the Burt Blyleven, which is just a classic. He's blowing the bubble, sitting there probably watching, and the dugout in the back, it looks like he's in a minor league. It's just a beat up dugout with the hooks. It's like it's 1970 MLB dugout. And I just think it's a cool picture. And it's a card that I want to get someday graded in my collection because I don't have that one either. It's just a cool looking card.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think 75 is it may be my favorite set from the 70s. And it's the set that stands out to me from my childhood. Maybe it's because Robin Yount rookie was in, then George Brett, but just the overall, like when I think 1970s and I get a visual image of what a card looked like, 75 comes into my head, you know?
Yeah.
So
the
layout,
they knocked it out of the park.
They really did.
Knocked it out of the park with this.
Yep.
Just for the 70s too. It's man. And those are some sick picks, Steve. And I wrote that Burt Blyleven down because I had one in a PSA 9 OC mini. I sold it. And that's one I kicked myself for. It's not an expensive card, but it sold for like $8 at an auction. And I was like, God, $8? The thing was like ridiculous. So stupid me. So I wrote it down. Thank you for reminding me.
Awesome. Yeah. And the colors, I mean, how many cards do you have like purple and magenta on the same, you know, like
it totally
it works.
It works. It works. I don't know why it should work, but it works. And I agree with you about Nolan Ryan. I agree. Those are my favorite years for him as well. So fantastic picks. All right. So, you know, I'm sure you guys can guess my choices.
Say this again, Josh.
I gotta go with the Yount, and I'd be like doing myself and everyone at home a disservice if you didn't go with the Yount and his little brother, Mini Yount.
Love it.
You know, I still, as a kid, this was the card you'd see this at a show. Like I was, you know, collected 80s and 90s, but for as far as vintage went, that was the card you'd see that at a show and you'd feel like it was like this larger than life card that you could never own, even though I think it actually back then was more expensive than it is now. Like I remember seeing it for like ungraded in not great condition for 60 to 75 bucks. And now you could find one beat up for 30 or 40 bucks. If you want one, you can find one.
Well, I know the exact price of that card.
Yeah, you know that probably.
It was 1987. It was $27 in that one high grade thing I had. $27, and you can, like you said, John, you can still find that card, spectacular version of that card in a 4 for $27 or $38.
It's honestly, it in a weird way, it infuriates me. It's like disrespectful.
Yeah.
I don't like to think, but I'm like, what is happening here? Like, and then you have the disparity between George Brett's rookie and Robin Yount's rookie, which I never understood. Maybe it's the market, but to me, like, they're pretty similarly deserving caliber type players that, I don't know. In any case, both fantastic cards that, I have 3 Robin Younts. I don't own a Brett, but I'd love to own one someday. Dylan has probably like 65.
I counted my Younts the other day. I only have 12 because I've been selling them off and still picking them up. Picked one up like a month ago. I'm just picking out. My collection is magnificent compared to what it used to be, and it used to be way higher grades.
Yeah,
like way higher. But I wanted to share this. I have it in gold plated as well, and this is from Paul, Fast Breaks and Breakfast. So I had to.
Yeah.
I got them on all different versions, except for the OPC awesome. I still need. So.
Yeah, I think Yount went straight to the major leagues at 18 years of age, which he was a great player. But I will tell you, Josh, I don't think he was close to being the hitter that George Brett was. George Brett was one of the best hitters of his era. Like, he almost hit 400. He was just a machine. He was really a solid hitter. And last thing I want to say is, I think, Dylan, on one of your last videos, you showed a Yount. I think it was like a 5 you picked up. And it is the most perfect. Yeah. Is it a 6 or 5?
6.5.
Okay, 6.5. It's the most perfect looking card. Like, if that's not a 9, I don't know what is. It's beautiful.
Thank you, dude. I agree. It's insane, right? And it was like $112.
That's awesome.
Insane. It's beautiful.
It's funny with these cards, like, they're either off-centered side to side on the front or grossly off-centered on the back.
A lot of the back,
one, but not the other. To find both is almost.
Oh, I don't even look, Josh. I don't even look at the back. If the back, I mean, I look at the back, but I don't look at it on a centering scale. I'll look at the back and I read it and check it out. But on a centering scale, I have no idea if that card was centered on the back or not. I've never bought a card based off the back centering for it. Yeah. I know others do, but I just don't. As long as the back's there, I'm good.
It's like with the 68 Ryan, you find it beautiful side to side on the front and the back's falling off. It's like, it's one of those frustrating things to find the perfect card.
That's funny because I don't even know. You would know more than me on that.
I mean, nobody's really displaying the back of a card, so obviously you're going to pick the front if you have to choose. But quality control. So all right, we'll truck it along here. Let's go to 7.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I'm moving. I had to move because I had to charge. I had to plug myself in so I don't die on you guys.
Oh no.
Okay, I got the card, so new setup here. Oh yeah, so the Lou Brock, man, it's always been one of my all-time favorite 76 Topps cards. 76 Topps is one of my least favorite designs. I think it looks exactly like 79 Topps and forever, always. Even to this day, it's like, which one is which in my brain? It's like, dude, I could get confused all the time, and I've looked at cards forever. But this card in particular, just the color match and he's like got his fingers out, like he's like shaking his finger. It just looks like he's ready to run. He's daring the pitcher to toss him. And he was the all-time steals king until Ricky Henderson came along. It's a beautiful baseball card. It's just.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I love it. The Pete Rose, the image is just absolutely just spectacular. I've always loved this card. I had this card in a higher grade and it was off-centered, and I had to buy another copy before I sold that one. And I did that with a lot of the cards because it's such a special card for me. It's just one of Pete Rose's greatest baseball cards ever, in my opinion.
It is.
His look on his face and his glasses popped up, like his shades. It's like one of those really special cards. And I'm not like a huge photograph guy either. I'm more design, but the photo on this speaks to me, and the Lou Rock. That's kind of when the set isn't spectacular, like the design, the photos take its place for me.
For sure.
So these two photos are spectacular, and they represent the players on the card so well. So okay, I'm done.
They were 4 and 5 on my list, Dylan. They
Yes.
were really close. They were 4 and
Yes.
5 on my list.
Hold on, before you show us, let's think about 76.
I love 76, by the way. I disagree. I think it's a sweet set. I think it's a beautiful set.
What that's your era, so I feel like a lot of guys do like it. I'm trying to find my. Did you pick Steve Garvey?
I did not.
Okay, all right.
He was close. He wasn't in my top 5, but
Oh, wow.
he was on the list. Yeah.
You want to take one more guess, Dylan, before the reveal?
No, I'm like blanking on what they all look like. I need them in front of me.
All
I
right.
just had the Steve Garvey right there, so I was like,
Let's see.
oh yeah, the bench.
The
Yes.
bench.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
Don Field of Dreams' favorite card.
This is maybe his second best card ever. Like his 69 is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But this card is just a classic card. The dust is up. He's got the gear. It's Johnny Bench. I love that card. I absolutely love it. And my daughter gave me one for my birthday this year, and an SGC 7, and it's just a wonderful card. And then I struggled with the second one because it was between this Yastrzemski and the Rod Carew, which are both just cool cards.
Oh, yeah.
This Yastrzemski, though, what I love about this Yastrzemski, it's, it looks like he just popped one for a home run. He's in his stance. The background, you can actually see one of the fans in the background is going like this, so it looks like he sees the ball sailing out. It's just a classic card of one of the all-time better hitters of the 60s and 70s. So I love that card.
That's awesome. Yeah, you picked some great ones. So similarly, I love the bench.
Yeah.
The thing that appealed to me about the bench is just the kind of cloud of just dust and dirt that's kicking up. You think that is in the moment or recreated when they took that image, Steve? Like,
I always felt it was in the
time?
moment. I always felt it was in the moment. I don't know, but in my mind, it was in the moment, which makes it even that much better.
Yeah, right. I feel like with the technology they had then, it would almost have to be, but it seems like they probably wouldn't put that much work into it to like recreate it. So, and then the Dennis Eckersley, again, that's another card that just stands out to me in the 70s. The colors of the card, the colors of the border of the card, and the Indians logo, and just his overall just look and stance, and I just love it. So
it's a great card.
Great card.
Well, you guys picked. So if you look on the screen, Josh, the display is really cool. The Lou Rock and the Johnny Bench, like those two cards side by side is like spectacular. Like they're in a game together. You can envision.
Yeah.
I mean, Bench is just ready to like toss them out. I'm glad you guys saved it with the bench because that was on my list, but I don't have the card and I kept it to cards that I own. So spectacular.
Well, that's a good year. Okay, we'll keep going to 77. Some classics.
Like, yeah, those are some nice cards. Got them right here.
Nice.
Don Sutton, I don't know why I just love this card. I love the Dodgers cards from 77. I think because when I was a kid, I actually got it was a fake cello pack, but my shop at where Baseball Cards Plus in Huntington Beach, I always talk about, he would cello wrap. So we'd get like this, the cello wrap or whatever that stuff is. He'd create mini packs for us, and they were like $1 in a bin. So a stack of 77s, all of these different years. So I would buy those as a kid all the time. And 77, I bought a couple of those packs that he had, and I just fell in love with the Dodgers cards. There were no stars, and I never had a Don Sutton. So when I got the Don Sutton, I just fell in love with it, and I love it. So it just popped out at me. And then the Nolan Ryan, I had to pick a Nolan Ryan at some point, and I love the Angels uniform where on his sleeve is the state of California right there. The facsimile autograph. I'm obsessed with facsimile autographs on cards. As a kid, I always just like, it felt like I had his autograph as a kid. You know, I didn't have his card, but the other cards from 77. And I think it's just magical. I think the only thing that I would have loved more on this 77 design is if they put the logo somewhere besides on his hat, like a circle logo down here in the corner or something. Would have just done it like the ultimate. It's a special. I love the set either
For
way.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, this is, I mean,
Sweet.
Nolan Ryan has so many cool cards in the 70s. And the coloring of the top border of the card, the color scheme they chose, I mean, just fantastic. I love it. Okay, Steve. Good ones. Tell us about your picks.
So that top card, it's just, once again, you get a catcher in a classic action shot. That is the Yankees versus the Red Sox. You got Willie Randolph trying to score. You got Pudge trying to block the plate. It's one of the best action shots ever in a card. It's such a cool shot. I love that card. And then the card below that, Lou Brock, you know, he's got that red and white striped helmet on, and then he's holding the white and red bat, and there's the Cardinal uniform. You can see the stands in the back. I just think aesthetically, all the colors work for me. It's just a really cool card.
Love it.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite 77 Topps cards. Always. Yeah. It's always been on my wall. I think I still have it. I don't think I sold it on that whatnot purge I was doing. I think I still have it, but I might not.
I would have bought it. I would have bought it if you
I know. Yeah.
sold
Okay,
it,
good.
Joe.
Yeah, I still got it. It's one I held back. I have a huge stack I held back. So. And that Fisk is like Carlton Fisk. It has, as if you ranked people's cards, who has the greatest cards of all time, Carlton Fisk probably is on the top of that list. Not for all of his cards, but for a few that are mind-blowingly good. And that one in particular is freaking bonkers.
Yeah, for sure. Great choices, guys. All right. Well, my two. So
the bird.
I mean, the bird, that's another card that, you know, certain cards that just stay with you. That's one of them. Love the hair. Love the expression and the story of the bird. So for all of those reasons and the untapped potential, what could have been, I just think, you know, that whole everything taken together, love it. So, but and then the Schmidt, again, you get kind of like the handlebar mustache. You kind of got the kind of bright colors of the Phillies. You got the facsimile autograph. I mean, just screams 70s to me. And the stash. I mean, I chose it for the stash. You know, that's all I got to say.
A great pitcher.
So,
yeah. Fidrich was so huge. I mean, I remember watching him, he talking to himself. Like, he was the only thing I think I've ever seen, well, not the only thing ever, but he was close, not quite as, but close to Fernando Mania. That's how big he was. Like, I watched the Fidrich thing. I watched Fernando. It's a shame that his career didn't go the way it should have. And, you know, he died tragically, but he was so much fun to watch those few years when he was the star player. So,
yeah, for sure. What, as a rookie, what did he had over 20 wins as a rookie, right?
I don't remember. I don't know if it was 18 or 20. But he was fun to watch, though.
Yeah, for sure.
That Mike Schmidt 77. I want to say I know this. I'm about 99% sure on this, and it's because Shane Shoebox Legend is doing Warlords collection. So he's picking the guys who had the highest WAR in every single season from National League and American League, and he's collecting those cards. And I gifted him the Mike Schmidt. I think it was the 77, and I think he has the Warlord. So I think Mike Schmidt had the greatest season of all the players in whatever league he's in 77.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
pretty
There
He
you
sick
was
go.
a
card.
player.
And I don't even think he won the MVP because that's how the MVPs didn't, they didn't have all this analytics. But I could be wrong there too. But
I thought you were going to say he was choosing players that looked like warlords. I
yeah,
think that card fits as well
did.
for two reasons. All right, so staying with the 70s, 78.
God,
Big
this guy's picking some good cards over here. I mean, these two cards together have been on my wall since the National. So I picked up this Thurman Munson at the National 2 years ago. It's the very first card I picked up at the National. This in a Rod Cruz 75. I was with Ken's cardboard, and it was dead centered, and I was in my centering jam and going, and I just wanted to break the ice. It was like the third table we were at or something. I don't know. It could have been later, but it happened. And I fell in love with the card instantly. So I got this card, and I already had the Reggie. And these two guys did not get along. They played together on some magnificent teams, but these two guys did not get along. Thurman Munson and Reggie Jackson. And Reggie doing what Steve said earlier, like this is his swing right here. All in, and this is the card that most people think of, the Reggie, when he's doing his almighty home run swing, swing or strikeout. And then the Thurman Munson, it's a classic catcher's pose, and it's an in-action pose of him looking out. And I just, he's probably yelling at Reggie Jackson out there, just like, hustle, what are you doing? Just like pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, they had to be shared together. And they're always on my wall side by side. I've read so many books with these two guys' story in it. Plastic Grass and like numerous Reggie books, and Thurman's, they're all in all of them. So those are my guys.
That's classic.
Good pairing. I love it.
Hold on, Steve. What did you pick? Let's see. Well, I think I know what Josh picked. Steve. Shoot. Oh man, I'll go with the. I don't think you're picking rookies, so I'm gonna go with the Reggie. I'm gonna go with the Reggie, and then Steve Garvey.
Okay.
Pick Garvey at some point.
Let's see.
That's sick!
Great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike, my friend.
Wow, I'm gonna take a photo of this. Where's my phone?
Historic.
Keep going on your cards.
The Reggie,
your
Reggie, just like 74. This is him though when he was a Yankee. This is when he just absolutely destroyed my Dodgers in a World Series, and he was huge. I mean, there wasn't a baseball player on the planet that was bigger than Reggie Jackson in 1978. There just wasn't, or in the late 70s. And the Munson card, love that card. I bought that card and it came and the slab was cracked. So I returned it and I haven't repurchased it yet. But that's also on my, hey, if you want to pick up Dad a card for Father's Day list that I sent to my kids. So I plan on getting it. But these were easy choices for me. There's a lot of great cards in this set, but these two just jumped out to me.
Dude, they were my guaranteed choices too, Steve. I'm blown away that you did those two cards. That is sick. Josh, you knew this whole time, man. Wow.
I knew.
Okay. Well, Josh, are you going to save the show again and pick Eddie Murray's rookie card or not? I think you are.
I got just the boring, the little layup right under the basket picks, though. So
Eddie Murray's cards.
Eddie Murray
card.
would be a good
mandatory.
choice. Okay, so what about any other guesses?
78. Garvey has a nice card in 78.
I'm going to say you picked the Reggie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Reggie also. Reggie and Eddie Murray. Oh,
Andre Dawson. I got to write him down because I don't have that card, and I always just like,
that's a great card.
The Eddie Murray, I mean that to me is also, again, visually when you think about cards from the 70s, like cards you've always wanted, that was one that always stuck out to me. And then Andre Dawson was just such a beast. I mean, looking at the intensity of his face and his stance, it's just, I love just the, the focus and just locked in look and slight intimidation that he's conveying in that image. So that's kind of what attracted me to
It's
those.
the unis on both of these. That
Yeah,
Oriole helmet on Eddie Murray is so cool.
it's so cool.
And Dawson's sitting there in an Expo uniform with a
Yeah.
gold cup. Yeah, I forgot about that card. Those are two great choices.
Those are great.
Yeah, I mean, gold cups, I could have chose all gold cups. Like anywhere,
For sure.
anytime there's a gold cup, I think they're like the best. I knew, Josh, you're saving the show, and they're not layups.
No.
They're not layups. I feel like I've talked about those cards so many years now. Eddie Murray, like that's Lou Rock's favorite card of Eddie Murray. I think it's like one of the greatest cards of all time. That's probably one of the first 78 cards I ever owned. So they're not. Man, I'm glad you're saving us because those are sick.
You guys got some great picks. I think all in all, this was a good 78 was a good year. I think we all had some solid picks.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, now closing it out, 79.
Oh, last one. Man.
Last one.
Dude, I thought we were gonna go into the 80s after this. I'm ready. Dude, these two always, since I was a kid, I've had the Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan cards forever. Actually, these are probably them. Actually, I think I upgraded the Johnny Bench. This is my original Johnny Bench.
Nice.
Joe Morgan I upgraded at some point, and I think these two cards are like the 70s. The big red machine was what I know about for my history. Like those two guys, and you put Pete Rose in there. You put those three cards on the wall every year they played together, would be like the most magnificent looking display of all time. And I feel like I never thought about that before YouTube and before Terry Mack would really talk about cards that go together. So when I look at my collection now, I see my cards differently. And although I had these my whole life and I've loved these cards, I chose them this time more for the fact that I just think they just belong together. And they're both incredible images of the two players. So I love them. I love those cards.
Good choices.
That Morgan card was in my top 3, Dylan. It's a nice card.
So it didn't make the top 3. So that means it didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the top 2.
Okay. Well, let's see what Steve had. Some good ones.
Oh, I should have guessed Rod Crew again. Dang it.
This is a classic Rod Carew swing right here. And I just like the color, the Twins uniform. You got a catcher in the background where you can see him. It's a great card. But hands down, my favorite card in the whole set is the Paul Molitor card. I love that card. I just recently got one back in an 8.5, and I'm so stoked. I love the Brewers uniform. That helmet is beat up, and it looks so good. And he's just a young. I love that card. For me, it just works.
Yes, I agree. I think that's fantastic for all those reasons. 100%. So those are great.
Am I not mistaken? So I've never purchased the Paul Molitor card because I love the 4-player rookie card he's on in 78. That could have easily been my choices for 78. Like I had an addiction to that card along with the Yount for years. I had lots of them. Paul Molitor, I believe that card, is that a hard card to find in good condition? I don't know if I feel like I've heard that before.
It's hard to find centered. 79s are notoriously bad. That's not an easy one to find. It's not as tough as the Aussie, but it's not an easy one.
But when you showed your 8.5 on your channel, Steve, I had never seen one that well centered. The one that we have pictured here, you never find them. Like, you just don't. They're all OC or miscut. So you found yourself a beautiful copy.
I've never seen a 1979 Topps that was dead center before.
Yeah.
They don't exist. They all have a tilt one way or another on the bottom or top. It's somewhere on there. All the 10s, there's a slight tilt to every one I've ever seen. So someone show me one challenge that isn't.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, closing out for
Oh,
me.
rookies, please bring the Aussie out.
I kind of took it a little different direction. So
No, you
I
messed up the
stayed
whole
with,
system.
my
Good
favorite
call.
team, the
Okay.
Brewers. I love, the Paul Molitor card. I love for the same reason, Steve, that you mentioned, kind of the beat up helmet, the kind of like youthful kind of appearance, a slight smile there. I mean, and if you talk about an underrated player, the player that had what, over 3,300 hits.
Yeah.
And had he played for the Yankees, you'd be collecting him totally differently than you would for a market like the Milwaukee Brewers. And then Robin Yount, he's got kind of like the curls sticking out of the side of the hat, and a nice beach blonde hair, kind of California feel to it, and kind of an awkward smile, an old school Brewers logo cap. I just loved everything about that. That's one of my favorite Yount cards. All of his cards from the late 70s, 75 on, you can't go wrong, 75 to 79 with his cards. So those were always cards that I love.
Yeah, Yount looks like he's going to grab a surfboard and head out with Dylan.
Totally.
I agree.
Yes,
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
Molitor, he had one of the quickest, most compact swings I've ever seen. And, people forget, I think he missed like almost 2 years to injuries and some drug issues. And he still ended up with like 3,300 base hits in his career.
Crazy.
From the right side, he was as good as almost as any hitter in that era. He was just really good.
I've never looked his stats up before, so that's all new to me. I almost know nothing about him except for his 78 Topps card.
Yeah.
He was a machine, and he hit
was.
well late into his career. Like he got into his late 30s, he was still stroking the ball, hitting over 300, driving in runs. I'm a big Molitor fan. I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit for how great he was.
For sure.
Well, John 380's kid too, so you guys are clubbies on that.
There you go.
Yeah, he loves him.
Well, let's start kind of closing things out with our overall impression. Lots of beautiful cards in the 70s. You've seen a variety of different opinions, regarding what people feel are the most beautiful cards. So as far as complete agreement, the only time we were all three in complete agreement was with the 72 Clemente.
Wow, that surprises me.
Yeah,
me
we
too.
did have some partial agreement about 7 times where at least 2 people agreed. And then compared to the other episodes from when we did the late 40s and 50s and 60s, every decade there seems to be less consensus amongst the group. And that may be just because the pool of players gets diluted out. Those iconic cards get, there's something about the golden age of cardboard that you have those cards that kind of stick with vintage collectors. But you get a little further on, you get in the 70s and the later decades, then things get kind of a variety of different opinions. And there's a lot of great cards, but less consensus. So, I didn't know what were your guys, closing thoughts on what you noticed.
Go ahead, Steve, go first.
Well, for me, Josh, I thought I was lucky enough to do the 60s with you also. And I had a harder time in the 70s than I did in the 60s. In the 70s, there were 3, 4, 5, sometimes 7 cards from a set that I was like going back and forth on. And then one of you guys would pull up 1 or 2 of them, which I thought was awesome. I just think for me, the 70s just had more variety of just some really amazing cards in each of the years that made it tougher for us to like come to complete agreement. So, but I enjoyed it. This was so much fun.
This was like ridiculous. Yeah. This was ridiculously fun. I'm so bummed we're not doing the 80s right now. I just started doing off the top of the cuff. Let's go. Josh, what was really fun. So I'll tell everyone now, since we did all our things. If you've known me, you follow my channel, you know who I am as a collector. I would have picked rookies across the entire board except for Burt Blyleven. Was not Burt Blyleven. Yeah, not Burt Blyleven. I would have picked either, but Eckersley. I wouldn't have picked either of those. Those are the only 2 rookies I would have picked across the whole board. I would have picked all rookies, but I told myself I'm not going to pick rookies. So Josh, you saved us in that aspect. So we would have a lot more in common. And I think Steve, I feel like you would have probably picked a few more rookies maybe. Maybe I'm just pushing my thoughts onto you, but I tried to stay away. I did stay away from all rookies because it would have been across the board, because my brain can't get away from the fact on how much I grew up loving rookies, and I love them the most across the board. It's just that thing. Like Steve Garvey rookie. Steve, I thought it was like, of course. And then I was like, okay. So I just had to put that caveat. So that's why I chose the ones I chose.
I like the variety. And I like one of the reasons I wanted to bring you guys on, because we had, you have so much passion for this decade, to kind of get to see some choices and some picks that people may not think about, or think that you would pick. So I thought that was great. You get to see a greater variety, and we get to hear from, the experts. You guys, I can see the enjoyment on your faces that you really love this decade of cards, which is great. That's why
I don't think there's a decade of cards Dylan doesn't love, first of all.
I was gonna say, wait till we get to the 80s or 50s or 60s, they're all the same to me.
Josh, I gotta tell you, this concept is fantastic. And you do an awesome job with it. It's fantastic. I look forward to watching the next one that you do. It's because it's fun, and if you knew ahead of time, I could see people pulling up their cards trying to figure out what their favorite
That's
cards
why I'm
would
like,
be.
send them separately. I have separate text streams because I don't want to bias anybody's picks, and I pick mine first so I don't bias myself. So it's a fun exercise. It's a fun exercise, and I appreciate you guys coming on. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to doing more of these by the decade, and hopefully in the future we can keep this going. This was a lot of fun.
Dude, anytime you invite me to this,
of course, man. We'll have many more collaborations. So thank you guys for coming on, and until the next time, guys.